A snowstorm had swallowed the world whole. Most stayed safe inside, except one woman and her little girl, lost in the cold, forgotten by everyone, until one officer and his loyal K9 stopped their cruiser and refused to ignore a bark in the dark. What they found buried in the snow would break hearts, and what they did next would restore faith in quiet heroes forever. Millbridge, Vermont, was the kind of town where not much ever happened. In winter, it wore a blanket of silence. White fields, silent woods, and the slow, careful hum of snowplows on the main road. Most people stayed indoors after sunset, especially on nights like this. But Officer Daniel Hayes, 58, and his K9 partner Trooper, a well-trained German shepherd, had just begun their patrol. The wind rattled the cruiser as it crept down Route 9, a lesser-used road leading to the edge of the forest reserve. The storm had arrived early, and visibility was poor. The wipers struggled to keep the windshield clear. "Feels like we're the only ones out here tonight," Daniel muttered, glancing at Trooper, who sat alert in the back seat. The dog didn't respond, of course, but his ears perked at Daniel's voice. They'd worked together for nearly 5 years, and at this point, words weren't always needed. Dispatch had been quiet, a few abandoned cars, a power outage on the west side, but no calls about missing persons. Still, Daniel had a habit, some might call it instinct, of checking the forest trail pull-offs during storms. People made poor decisions in panic. As they passed an unmarked turnoff near Loon Creek, Trooper suddenly stiffened. A low growl rose from his throat. Daniel slowed the cruiser. "What is it, buddy?" Trooper's body language was unmistakable. Intense focus. Tail stiff. Nose to the window. Daniel stopped, turned off the engine, and listened. Nothing, just wind. Then Trooper barked once. Sharp. Urgent. Daniel opened the door and stepped out. The cold hit him like a wall. Pulling his scarf tight, he opened the back door. And Trooper leapt out, paws crunching into deep snow. The dog took off toward the woods. "Hold up." Daniel followed, grabbing a flashlight. The beam cut through swirling snow as he jogged after the dog, heart pounding harder than he'd like to admit. His knees weren't what they used to be. 50 yards in, under a broken pine bough weighed down with snow, Trooper stopped and whined. There, nearly buried beneath a dusting of white, was a woman, clutching something small in her arms. Daniel dropped to his knees. "Ma'am!" he shouted, brushing snow from her face. Her skin was pale and icy, her lips blue. Her eyes fluttered, barely opening. The bundle in her arms stirred faintly. A little girl, perhaps 4 years old, wrapped in a damp fleece blanket, shivering violently. "Hang on. You're okay. You're okay now." Daniel ripped off his coat and wrapped it around the child. Trooper lay beside the girl, pressing his body close, radiating warmth. One hand on his radio, Daniel called in coordinates. "We've got 2 victims. Adult female, young child. Severe hypothermia. I need EMS now." "ETA 18 minutes, came the reply. 18 minutes? In this cold? Daniel gently tried to keep the mother conscious. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Samantha," she barely whispered. "Lily, my daughter." He nodded. "You did good, Samantha. Help is coming. Just stay with me." He talked the whole time about the weather, about Trooper, about how he once got lost in the snow himself when he was 10, and his father didn't stop looking for him. It wasn't important what he said, just that she heard a voice, that she stayed tethered to life. Trooper remained curled around Lily, licking her face to keep her awake. By the time the paramedics arrived, both mother and daughter were semi-responsive. The EMTs worked fast. Daniel helped load them onto stretchers. The paramedics' words stayed with him. Another 10 minutes, and they might not have made it. Back in the cruiser, Daniel didn't speak for a while. Trooper rested his head on his lap, eyes closed. The snow was still falling. 2 days later, Daniel visited the hospital. He didn't usually do follow-ups, but something about that night lingered in his bones. He found Samantha in recovery. She looked pale, but alive, Her eyes welled up when she saw him. You saved us," she whispered. Daniel smiled gently. "Trooper did. I just followed the barking." She reached for his hand. "I didn't know what else to do. I left our house after my husband hit me. Again. I tried to drive to my sister's, but the car broke down. I thought I could walk, just a few miles, but Lily was so tired." Daniel didn't pry. He simply nodded. "You did everything you could. You kept her safe. That's all that matters." Lily, sitting beside her mother, lit up when Trooper entered the room. She reached for him immediately, giggling softly. Trooper sat by her feet, tail wagging, as though they'd known each other for years. Samantha wiped a tear. "When I collapsed, I thought no one would find us. I heard a bark through the snow, and I thought it was a dream." A month later, Samantha found a small apartment, not far from her sister's home. She'd filed a restraining order, started counseling, begun rebuilding, quietly, slowly. Every Christmas after that, she and Lily visited the police station, cookies in hand, a card for Daniel, and a scarf for Trooper. And each time when they left, Lily would kneel beside the dog and whisper, "Thank you for finding me." Trooper always wagged his tail, like he understood. The year Daniel retired, they threw a modest ceremony. Most folks from town came. A few officers gave speeches. Trooper, by then graying at the muzzle, stayed faithfully by his side. When it came time for Daniel to speak, he looked over the room, cleared his throat, and said, "I've written a lot of reports, chased a lot of bad guys, but nothing will ever matter to me more than the night we found that little girl in the snow." He paused, his eyes misting. It wasn't just a rescue, it was a reminder that no matter how cold or dark the world gets, sometimes someone's still out there, still looking. The room was silent, save for a sniffle here or there, and then a small voice piped up from the crowd. "I'm right here, Officer Dan." It was Lily, now 6, waving with both arms. Trooper barked once, proudly, and for a moment, in the middle of a snowy December evening, the hearts of everyone in that little room melted, like spring had come early.